Day 11, Little Cottonwood Canyon. We'd driven up from Salt Lake City chasing a waterfall, made it about a mile up the trail, and then hit a wall of ice. Not a little frost, actual ice on the trail, covering the trail. No way to tell from the bottom how far it went. We turned around. We did not make it to the falls. I'm not someone who handles unfinished business very well, so welcome back to Small Planet, Big World. This is day 13. We'd spent the day before in Big Cottonwood Canyon. 2 waterfalls, a different canyon, equally spectacular. But on the morning of day 13, on our way out of Salt Lake City for what we knew would be the last time on this trip, we made a stop. Nefertiti picked up a pair of microspikes in the middle of REI on 3300 South and held them up without saying a word. Just raised an eyebrow. It wasn't really a question. We bought the microspikes. Little Cottonwood Canyon sits just southeast of Salt Lake City. Most people know it as the road to Alta and Snowbird, 2 of the most celebrated ski resorts in the country. But in October, before the snow arrives in earnest, it feels like something else entirely. Quieter and older. This is a classic U-shaped glacial valley carved out between 15 and 25,000 years ago. An alpine glacier moved through here and reshaped everything. The granite walls, the hanging valleys, the waterfalls spilling out of them. Gloria Falls is one of those. We were going to get there this time. The aspens along the road had gone full gold. The canyon was doing its absolute best to make us feel good about the decision. The trail to Gloria Falls shares a trailhead with routes to Red Pine Lake and White Pine Lake. The paths run together for the first mile before splitting at assigned junction. It's a well-traveled trail, well-maintained for most of its length, but that last stretch to the falls is different. An unmaintained social trail, a creek crossing, a short, steep scramble through the trees. Nothing technical, but nothing handed to you either. We carried the microspikes with us, waiting. Sure enough, there it was, the ice, right where we'd stopped 2 days earlier. And from the bottom looking up, you still couldn't see where it ended. That's what stopped us the first time, not the ice itself, the uncertainty. This time, we didn't overthink it. We strapped on the spikes, stepped onto the ice, and kept moving. It turned out to be a short section. A minute later, we were past it, spikes back in the bag, continuing up the trail. The hike is about 2.2 miles round trip, with roughly 500 feet of elevation gain. And in October, with the aspens turning gold all around you, every foot of that climb is worth it. Gloria Falls drops over 50 feet in a wide, tiered curtain. It's not the kind of waterfall that tries to impress you with brute force. It's more like water that has figured out how to be graceful about falling a long way. Multiple tiers spreading wide across the rock face, catching the October light. The mist at the base was cold enough to feel from 10 feet away. Nefertiti stood there with her arms out. We'd been turned back from this exact spot 2 days earlier, spent a full day in a completely different canyon in between, and then on the morning of day 13 we woke up, drove to REI, bought traction devices on the strength of pure stubbornness, and came back. And here we were. There's a version of travel that's about efficiency. Maximize the destinations, minimize the friction. And then there's this. Coming back for the thing you didn't finish. Earning it twice. Standing in the cold spray at the base of a 50-foot waterfall in a canyon carved by a glacier on a Thursday in October because you refused to leave it undone. That's the version I prefer. On the way back down, I pulled out the drone, and I'm really glad I did. From above, the canyon in October is something else. The gold of the aspens packed into the canyon floor and walls. The creek winding beneath the road as it follows the water down toward Salt Lake. You get a completely different sense of the scale from up there. Those canyon walls are granite, magma that pushed up through the Earth's crust about 30 million years ago and cooled slowly underground. Then the glaciers came along and stripped away everything softer, leaving that granite exposed, polished, pale, and enormous. It's been sitting there looking like that since before our species existed. And for a few minutes, we got to see it. If you're enjoying this series, hitting subscribe really does help a small channel like ours, and it means you won't miss where we go next. We packed up and drove back down the canyon and made one last stop in Salt Lake City, dinner at Blue Iguana on West Temple. Nefertiti had been lobbying for this place since day 11. It delivered. We ate too much and didn't care even a little bit. Then we pointed the car east, Rock Springs, Wyoming for the night, the first of 3 long road days back to Chicago. And look, I'll be honest, there isn't a ton to report between Salt Lake City and Chicago. It's a lot of highway. Beautiful in its own wide open way, but not exactly packed with adventure. The good stuff was behind us, the commute was ahead. But for those first few hours out of Utah, with the desert going dark around us and the day still fresh in our heads, it still felt like the trip. We'd come out west to chase a solar eclipse across the Nevada desert. Along the way, we found ancient caves and glacial lakes, bristlecone pines that were standing before the pyramids were built, 2 magnificent canyons, and 1 waterfall we had to earn on the second try. We ate well, we drove a lot, and we stood in a lot of places that made us stop talking and just look. That's what this channel is. Not the highlights, but the whole trip. The icy trails, the microspike detours, the unfinished business, and the second attempts. Small planet, every bit of it worth the drive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
How's it? You about to max that?
Oh, wow.